really only see 3 people a day.
Okay.
30 years ago at the Mustang Ranch, we'd see 20 people a day.
Oh shit.
They had thousands of people coming through that door.
Goddamn.
Yeah.
Man, that's a lot of showers in a day.
That was a lot, man. Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
We'd sit in sitz baths, because we'd be so.
For sure.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it was worth it.
But you were authentic.
I think that's what it was. I think
me too.
because, yeah.
Seeing that unique girl there for sure.
I saw the other girls, they could be like, oh,
yeah, fake. Yeah, being fake.
I can't do that. I'm not.
Yeah.
I mean, I am what I am. I mean, if you have the opportunity, jump out of a plane.
I'm surprised you didn't say brothel. Yeah. So that's awesome. Yeah. I didn't expect that.
Yeah, well, that would be smart to say, huh?
Yeah, for sure. But in your line of work, what's the most important skill or trait a person should have?
Patience.
Wow, see, a lot of people would think beauty right there. So that's incredible. Because like I saw in an interview that you did, sex is so just a little thing of everything you girls do. You're literally taking care of the guy, a psychologue at the same time. You're doing it all there, and reading the guy as well, because he's not always going to tell you everything he needs, but you need to figure it out there if you want to keep him as a great client there.
Yeah. People would walk up to me and go, "You're famous." And you don't walk up to someone famous and say, "You're famous." So what you're saying to me every fucking time that you say you're famous is you're famous and you're a fucking prostitute and you're famous. So I was getting slurred on. That hurt me. That dug, that cut every time someone goes, "You're famous." I'm no better than, and I'm no worse than anybody else on the planet. And you just got to drill that into your head. I'm no better than, I'm no worse than anyone else on the planet. Never compare yourself to others, because you're always going to come up short.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, and that was a hard one.
Yeah, that's a hard truth to accept in life, but that is true.
Yeah. My core is I work off of competition and fear. And that will drive me to do anything.
So being a madam at the Alien Cat House really didn't work out like you wanted. I would have thought that since they put you in an authority, you would have power, but you can't just give authority to somebody and no power, because that's worthless. It's
and it was like, even if I could just, now resign myself to the fact, that's fine. I'll just use this as a gimmick, the madam thing. And it just, those. Yeah, maybe I went in like a steamroller and I just put people off.
Is there somebody that ever asked, when you were working at the Alien Cat House, is there anybody that asked an alien theme, something, fantasy?
No. I had such
I think that would have been me. I was like, I want to get abducted.
I had such big plans for I wanted to make an alien abduction room, celestial show. It was just going to be so fun, man. So that girl that ran her mouth, and guys are wired to want young women to procreate. They want, wide hips and small waists and young, so they fertile seed and all this. So guys are programmed and pre-wired to want youth. And that just got thrown out the window somewhere, and now
it's very darker now.
It's a lot darker. I wonder where those 300,000 children are, and I hate to fucking think about it.
Just because I had Vic Lagina on. He's a porn producer for Browsers. He was one of the biggest. And on the podcast, he talked about sex workers that they have trouble opening bank accounts because of their job. And I was shocked. I was like, in my head, I'm like, isn't this one of the oldest professions in the world? Why do you think these obstacles still fucking exist? And what do you think are the biggest challenges for the rights of these people?
My bank account got yanked too, but it was right after Nevada legalized marijuana. Mm-hmm. So, and even the lobbyists, because we're in the capital city, as Carson City, we're right there. The marijuana lobbyists would come to the Bunny Ranch a lot, and these little fuckers, I'm sure. They said, they used us. Well, you have legal brothels and they're not federal, but banks won't deal with marijuana either, because it's not federally accepted. So right after they legalized marijuana, my bank that I had ran millions through um, wrote me and said that I needed to clear out my account, and they're closing my account. Some girl would come in, it's GFE, and she kisses, and it was always taboo. You never kissed.
Yeah, because
So
that's
one
like the
night somebody
private
comes in
thing.
and they kiss, and then somebody comes in and they offer, they're competing, they offer, oh, I text, I do this, so you just have more and more and more that you're trying to compete with. They're just giving up more and more and more. But now the trend is overnight. Everybody wants an overnight.
Man, that must be expensive.
I
Oh
mean,
my God.
don't ask for an overnight because it's the most expensive thing we have, except for a couple days.
Yeah, for sure.
It's the most expensive thing you can get in 24 hours, basically.
An expert of porn addiction on, and he talked about when we were kids, like 25 years ago. What was like popular in cartoons was hentai. So these young people grew. So now they just brought that into the porn, and you can push that line of what is okay with 3D and cartoons way more there, because you could have a
And
monster
these
having
big
sex with a
doe
princess.
eyes, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. So I think the fact that the creation of the limit now is just so further because of hentai and all of this.
He wanted me to pee on him, right? Okay, that's cool. But then he wanted to take some to go. So I put some in a to-go cup for him. And what he did is he put it on his hands and rubbed it all over his hair.
Oh
Like,
my goodness.
oh, kidoki.
Oh my God. I imagine like you sitting at home that night, and you're like, I got paid to just pee on somebody. Isn't that
Yeah.
fucked up? Like being a porn star, for example, what you want is being the most popular possible, that everybody knows you. But in the world of courtesan, like you can't be like, oh, I had this person, oh, I had that person. You can't. So you're living in a way like a secret life in a way on your side. But how the hell in that world did you become famous? It's like it's a secret world in a way, but it's like I'm telling myself this girl was so good that the guy was like, bro, you gotta call this girl.
Well, I do have a reputation of being like Michael Jordan of sex. Okay, I monitored
There you
that
go.
way early in my career. Um, and that was the first thing I learned was word of mouth advertising is the best
Exactly.
advertising. So I would always tell people, tell your friends, right? So word of mouth. And then I jumped on a vehicle. It's the girls that pick up on the new
Trends.
trends, really.
Oh yeah,
So
faster.
I
Yeah, for
was
sure.
the girls that were on the internet with member sites. They did really well at the ranch because they already had a following.
Okay,
The
yeah.
strippers and porn stars did really well because they already had a following, right? I did really well because A, I knew how to negotiate. B, I gave good parties. C, I picked up on technology as far as websites and message boards go. So I was the first one on some of the message boards and offering contests and things like that. And then I just did all the gimmicky things. I went to AVN and I walked that floor, man. I walked that floor in some crazy outfits and heels, and my feet
Oh yeah,
hurt.
you
And I
better
hit,
remember me. Welcome back on our Rumbling Facts podcast, where uncomfortable truths collides with critical thinking to have raw, unfiltered conversations that spark real growth for the real ones. This is your number one destination to challenge the narrative, diving deep into topics that most people are going to avoid. And I'm your host, Sam, DJ Red Sam. I'm a rapper, creator, truth seeker, and the founder of Making Others Read. It's a nonprofit that I take books that people are going to fucking throw out and then give them back to the communities that can't afford these books, because knowledge is power, and books changed my life. So if I can change the life of somebody with books, might as well do it. Today's guest is a true pioneer, somebody whose life journey has taken her from running away as a young woman, hitchhiking across the country, and eventually serving in the Air Force, to becoming one of the most respected figures in the world that most people don't fully understand. She's Air Force Amy, the madame at the Alien Cat House in Las Vegas. A courtesan, that's how we say it?
The courtesan, yeah.
A courtesan and outspoken advocate for sex worker rights. Amy has defied all the odds and shown that you can build a career on your own terms, all while fighting for respect, dignity, and equal rights for those in that profession. As a visionary behind the Alien Cat House, she's brought creativity and uniqueness into the industry where those qualities are often overlooked because they only think about sexuality. She's not just running a business, people. She's breaking down stigmas, advocating for people's rights, and shaping the future of sex work in ways that most people don't even dare. Welcome, Dean, aka Air Force Amy.
Yeah.
Welcome to Rumbling Facts Podcast. How you doing?
Thanks, good. But you know, I'm not at that Alien Cat House anymore. We're gonna call that the Twilight Zone.
Where are you working now?
I'm in between jobs.
Okay.
I've accepted an offer, but I haven't started because what happened is I applied at the Alien Cat House, right? And the owner was like, he wanted to make me madam instead, right? So I said, oh, great. First I was like, man, how do you market aliens and sex? They just don't go together, right? There's nothing sexy about any alien image you've ever seen. So
sure.
I didn't know how to turn it into something sexy and but then I just hit on the space theme, you know. So SpaceX and Interstellar and Celestial, and it really came to me and it was coming together really, really well. And man, I wanted to run with that. I wanted to run with that hard. But the owner just didn't understand that. Well, he was just talking out of both sides of his mouth. He gave the manager all this power over here, and he was trying to get, and I was supposed to have the same power over here, and my hands were tied. It wouldn't change any operating procedure. It wouldn't change. Yeah, and it was a rough group of girls.
Probably because in industries like that, it's competition between most girls instead of being a team.
They were rough. I mean, just on the outside. Okay.
Wow.
Really, really. They were smoking in the building. The place. It was just, you know. So it would have taken a lot of change. And so what really happened is, the last place I had worked before there was the Chicken Ranch.
Yeah.
And there was a cashier there that got fired for fraternizing with the clients. So she apparently went and got a job at Alien Cat House. It's only 30 miles away.
Yeah, because they're all right beside one another.
Yeah, so she was like, I think she was embarrassed to be working as a working girl. So when news got out that I was coming in as a madam, she told all 3 working girls that were working there. She filled her head with poison that I was gonna fuck them over and I was gonna do this and that. I mean, she doesn't understand how impactful and how much harm those words caused me. And she needs to be on a lookout. Bolo, Harley, because I'm gonna sue you for defamation because she really affected everything that went on at that place. So the minds were poisoned and they weren't changing. And my first day there, 3 girls walked out.
Wow.
On the next day, on a Friday.
Is it because you were like a bit famous before going in that it was just a hassle for them?
Yeah, I think so. I think because I was also still working and a madam. So they thought that I was going to take those madam privileges and use them to gain for my own benefit. And that was so, it couldn't be further from the truth.
Exactly.
I've always just helped the other girls. I have an open door policy. I mean, the minute we walk through that door, we're in this together, you know? So, and I just didn't even have a chance to preface myself at all. So now, so those 3 girls or 4 girls quit. And the owner was just like, fuck them. They were lazy anyhow. And he's like one and done. You're not going back to work there. And these girls, they quit on a Friday night and they left just 2 girls in the house. So you're not getting your job back, right? So there's one girl, like I got a TPO I have to fill out right now. There's one girl whose husband wants to kill me, and he's making
Wow.
like these communicating threats. This Phoenix
Incredible.
Envy, her husband he worked up near my house at the Sagebrush, and he was communicating a threat. I mean, the deputy sheriff was knocking on my door at 7:30 Sunday morning, going, "Do you want to press charges?" I'm like, "What?" So I'm sure she told him that I was the reason she quit, and now she can't get it. Sure, she's stuck out at some other place, and it was all my fault. So everything's all my fault, right? So
Oh
it's
my
all my
god.
fault. So yeah, so and it just became a dangerous place to work. I mean, when I'm saying these girls are rough around the edges, I'm telling you, rough. Okay, this
And
is
you've
like,
been through rough there. You've been through
yeah,
uncertainty when you were doing truck
yeah,
stops when you were
I
younger,
can smell, I can
and
smell it
now
all.
you were still feeling it, like
Yeah,
the
no,
hostility there.
I had to take one of my high heels and shove it underneath the door to lock my last night there to shove it in the door to lock the door. I was that concerned,
Wow, well,
you
that's
know.
incredible.
Yeah, and the place didn't have like windows. I mean, it had windows, but it didn't have a fence around it. And this is the first legal brothel I ever worked that didn't have a big iron fence around it. Okay, so there was no safety, and it was in the parking lot, and of a convenience store and truck stop, the Alien 51 Center,
Yeah,
and it's like 4,000 people a day go through that thing, and there's
damn.
truckers, and then the windows are right there in the parking lot. Anyone could walk up there. I was like, this is too crazy dangerous, man. This is crazy. So yeah, so
So you
I
see the girl from outside? That's what you mean?
yeah, you could see them from. I mean,
Okay,
if my shades were open, you could
okay,
see
okay.
what I was doing and want to come in and get
Wow.
some. You know.
Okay, so that man, that's crazy. It makes me think a bit of the movies they showed us about Amsterdam. That there's a girl in a window, and you see her in advance before going in the
Well,
building
yeah,
there.
you can see the window, but she still had some type of safety measures. There was no safety measures. It was
Wow.
just crazy. I was out there, and this general manager, I've never seen anything like this. Employees will dig themselves in. I mean, especially if they're just got everything set the way they want it set, they're running the place like they want it, and they're actually really lazy and incompetent. And they're gonna dig in, man, and they'll do anything to keep that job because it's
Absolutely.
just the way they want it. They don't have to work. They're smooth, and So there was no moving that one. And then I've seen it at other places too, where there's an employee that just is really inept, really, really inept. I guess it's hard to fire people. I don't know. You have to pay unemployment or something, but man, there's
Mhm.
the employees in our industry that are just really dug in, and they've got the owners just bamboozled in yeah. So I
Uh,
mean, you'd think that the customers would be the difficulty of my job.
mhm.
Uh-uh. They're the
Isn't
respite.
that
They're the
incredible?
reprieve,
Yeah.
and the cattiness and competitiveness and just the
Wow.
stuff that goes on with the employees and the girls is it's just dramatic. Okay, there's a lot of drama, man.
When I was going through your story is so fucking incredible because a lot of people are gonna take a trauma like you live at home and like literally let that thing pull you to hell all your life, and you ran away. You were like, "Fuck this shit! I ain't dealing with that." And so while you're there, you're crossing the country. What was your goal right there? Where were you trying to go?
At first, the first place I wanted to go was Studio 54 in New
Goddamn.
York
Okay.
City. you know, I had taken my mom's best disco dress and some heels, and I was going to go to Studio 54. But, I'm like 13 years old.
Yeah, that ain't happening.
So I just hitchhiked, I try to remember the very first night, the very first truck I ever got up into. And I'm on it was Route 84 in Ohio, and there's uh snow, snow piled up on the side of the freeway. It was like 6 foot snowbank, and I don't even know what made me think to hitchhike in a truck. I think maybe I was just going to go hitchhike just to get out of town, and I hadn't decided it was going to be a truck.
Mm-hmm.
But a truck pulled over, and man, you know, my situation was bad enough that I thought it would be okay and it would be better to climb up into this truck. And I'm telling you, when you're on the side of a truck, if you get close to a truck, you see nothing.
Yeah.
You're going blind, man. It's just this big muffler over here and these steps.
And the door is so high over you there.
Yeah, and you're climbing, right? And if you don't like what you see, you're going to have to jump back, okay?
Yeah.
But that didn't occur to me whatsoever. I mean, I had no idea. It wasn't like getting into a car where you see the person when you're going to open the door. Listen, you know nothing.
Yeah.
And, I don't know what possessed me, except pure fear of where I was coming from. And this had to be better.
Yeah. Or at least less worse.
This had to be better than what I would face at home.
Wow.
So I got to, and mind you, oh man, I was beat the F up. My dad had bailed on me the night before. And because I was getting ready, I was trying to run away, and me and my girlfriend, we got caught on the freeway, right?
Oh shit.
First we're on one side of the freeway, and we see the cops coming, so we run over to the other side, and you see them coming, we run over to the other side. Finally they get us, and they're like, what are you doing? Where are you going? What is this? And I'm like, oh, we're in college, and we're going back to Kent State University, and our parents are in Florida, and we spent all our money to get back to school, so we're just hitchhiking back. And they're like, I mean, you look at us, we're 13 years old.
Yeah.
And the cop's like, oh, okay, what dormitory do you stay into? And I said, oh, such and such hall. And he's like, that's an all-male dormitory. Get the oh, fuck. So it's like midnight, and they got to call my parents down to pick us up or whatever. Oh my God. And they had court that night. The judge was there. And I'm just like, please just keep me. Please, you don't know what's going to happen when I get home. Oh my God. So please keep me. And he could have done truancy from home, well, not school yet, but home. But no, I went home with my dad, and he had these like suede gloves, but packed with like fleece on the inside. And we had a cement porch, and he was just packing his glove with snow and just oiling on my face, going, this is what you want to happen to you? This is what's going to happen to you. So now when I'm getting up in this truck the next day, and then my brother was supposed to stay home and watch me, and I'm going out the window again, right? And the next morning I was like, yeah, I'm going to get the fuck out of here. Oh my God. So I'm hitchhiking, and my face is blowing up like this, right?
For sure.
And I just got in a truck, and I said, look, my dad beat the shit out of me, or whatever story I said. Maybe I got to go. And the guy just looked at me, okie dokie. And I don't remember much of, maybe I probably just slept.
Wow.
Slept and iced. I don't know if I iced or not, but that's a theme in my life. I know how to ice on, ice off, 20 minutes on, 20 minutes off. Right?
And at a certain point, at 18, you meet this guy that tells you like you're too pretty to do this. What the hell? You shouldn't be living like this there. And can you tell us what happened there?
Yeah. So after bouncing around and stopping here and ended up here and there and the other place, I'm in a truck stop in New Jersey, and the kid goes, "Oh, you're too pretty to be out here. I'm going to take you home to my boss." And so basically, I was given to this guy, and he was a severe Vietnam veteran, and with his problems, alcoholic. And that was good for me, because that was okay with me, because I would okay, I'll get my drink on.
Yeah.
It turned out to be just a mean drunk. But I did get my GED while I was there. I got my GED, and that's where I joined the military from, because he was like, and I kind of stayed in touch with my grandmother. So he was like, hey, the state's coming after me. I'm not paying I refuse to pay child support. I'm going to jail. You got to figure something out. You got to go live with your grandmother or whatever, right?
Or go to the army.
I was like, fine, I'll join the Marines because he was a Marine. So I go down there and I'm all like, yeah. And I tested and I tested really high. My scores were like incredible. I'm a good test taker. I'm a good test taker. You develop this. I guess I developed this intuition and common sense that you just normally wouldn't get as a human being because of getting into situation after situation, danger after danger, and you got to size something up fast.
You start figuring shit out for sure.
Right? And if you're stuck in that situation, you got to figure your way out. So I'm a good test taker, and I tested really high, and I went. But the Marines wouldn't take me because I had a GED. So the Air Force was like, "Yeah, we'll take you." I'm like, "Okay, cool." So I was on a delayed enlistment. I hit the road for 3 more months. I didn't have to show up until in Texas, in San Antonio, Texas, or Fort Worth, Texas.
So how many years did you do in the Air Force? Is it 7? I think
I did 5 years.
5. Okay,
it's 4 or 6.
Okay,
and I did an extra year for they call it the convenience of the government, but what that is because I spent my whole enlistment overseas. Instead of bringing me to like San Francisco or San Diego and dropping me off at the port, you're doing an extra year in stateside somewhere so that you can get acclimated to being in the States and get your get your shit together.
So then after when you're done the Air Force, I heard in another interview after you're done the Air Force, when you were looking in retrospect, how did you end up at Brothels? You were like, wow, it's really the trauma and addiction I was pulling that really made me refall into the sex work in a way.
Yeah. Because this, I went into the military thinking, okay, and I'm going to straighten up, size up, everything's going to be square and everything's going to be okay. And it just turned into I got tossed around, my that base like a football, So there just still was, all the same old story, drinking and sex, right? But I think it was a couple of wine coolers that made me decide to go to the brothel. Honestly, I think it was like 6 wine coolers or something. I was just like, fuck it, yeah.
So what made you decide when you go to the brothels to keep the Air Force in that name and put Amy there and be like, oh, I'm Air Force Amy now?
I didn't. So the first place I got to work at Chicken Ranch, he wanted my name to be Susie. So I don't know. I was
Susie? That's not stellar.
Yeah. Susie. Okay. I guess it makes you like, I don't know, Susie. So the first place I worked at was Susie. The second place, then I changed my name to Bridget. I think Bridget. And when I got to the Bunny Ranch, that's when I changed my name to Air Force Amy, because I had worked at the Mustang Ranch, and it subsequently got shut down. Like the IRS came in and tried to run it. We were all like, we're working for the fucking IRS. I'm out of here. So I went down south, and I was down there for a while. It's really, really, really bad place. The Cherry Patch. It was so bad. But then I went back north. I went back up to back north to the Bunny Ranch, and I noticed that the same guys that I would see at the Mustang Ranch were walk-ins coming to the Bunny Ranch because it was only 30 miles away. And I was like, so by then I had changed my look considerably. I had short red hair, now I have long blonde hair, and I wanted the guys to remember. If I had spent any time with the guy at the Mustang, I would have talked about being in the Air Force. And then my name, Amy. So Air Force Amy. And I wanted them to get it and understand that I was that Amy, that I was Bridget.
Brand yourself like
Air Force Amy. I wanted them to recognize me. So, and that was just then. And I wanted to be Amazing Amy. But there was a doll out at that time called Amazing Amy. So I couldn't do that. So it was Air Force Amy. And the name it's like McDonald's. If you ever see the documentary on McDonald's, it's like the name just is golden.
Yeah, exactly. And right when I saw that you really went in the Air Force and that your nickname was Air Force Amy, I was like, genius, genius. Like honestly, you gotta take what you got and double down on it.
Yeah,
Like I went through the Air Force and now I'm doing this, so for sure you put it in the name, you brand yourself. Look.
yeah. There's other girls like there's a GI Jen, and I don't know. This is funny. After this, I don't know if it was the first or second documentary of the Cat House series on
Yeah.
HBO that I was in. Um, Amy Poehler actually, Amy Poehler and Tina Fey actually did a skit pretending that they were girls from the Bunny Ranch, and Amy Poehler played me, and she was Coast Guard Carrie. Yeah, I can't find, and I used to be able to find that clip, but I can't find it anywhere now. It's like the internet got scrubbed of a lot of stuff that we did at Bunny Ranch. There used like Cat House was like in 2006 to 2018, something like 2018. The internet shut down on all of, R-rated material.
Yeah, yeah.
HBO dropped their late night. Cinemax dropped their late night. Everyone dropped all their R-rated and X-rated everything, and a lot of stuff got pulled off the web, like we never even happened, never even existed.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, so that episode is pulled. Joe Rogan came out to the Bunny Ranch several times when he was on the Man Show.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, and
Did you get to meet him?
yeah,
Nice,
he
that's
wasn't
awesome.
famous like he is now.
Yeah, yeah,
with
for
the
sure.
podcast, but yeah, I did a couple things. I did a one skit was we were watching Pretty Woman together. It was like all of us watching Pretty Woman, and then another one was he took us out to shopping. Yeah, after Pretty Woman, it was at a thrift store. So I mean, that was so, and that was really, 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 really almost impossible. It's not listed on Amazon or YouTube. It's not listed as an episode. It's hidden. You really, really, really have to dig to find it. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
a lot of our stuff. We just like, and now I've just witnessed like my third legal brothel get bulldozed down.
Yeah, yeah, that's
I
crazy.
saw Love Ranch North get bulldozed. Old Bridge got bulldozed. Kit Kat bulldozed. All these places I worked, it's just like it's a piece of your history. It's like trying to erase me. You can't erase me. I really happened.
Oh yeah, for sure. And
It happened.
and when we check online, like you did photo shoots all your life there, man. When I was just looking like for pictures and like see your life a bit in a picture. My goodness, any kind of costume, like you're at a sort of point. I'm like, wow, this girl is all over. And there was one in particular I found it so awesome. You're on the beach with the huge American flag there, and the top in American. Really,
Yeah, I just
really.
did that last summer.
It's really awesome.
Yeah.
And there was one with full of
It
feathers.
was cold and rainy that day too.
For sure. It always looks good on the photo, but for sure the girls lived crap on that day.
Yeah, I just did that 6 months. 8 months ago?
I have this section of the podcast that I'm gonna ask you questions of critical thinking and about your life or your career, and we'll see where you go with this. What's one of the most misunderstood aspects of working a legal brothel that most people get wrong?
That we're dirty.
I was gonna say the same for that answer, because most people think that, and when I looked it up, the girl leaves the building, gets tested, and she can't come back in until the test has come back good. Right. So it's so like a perfectly safe, but yeah, most people think that like idiots and don't do their research. Can you share an instance when your intuition or gut feeling made you change a particular decision in your life?
Well, I'm working on that right now.
Perfect.
I'm really processing some things. My gut tells me no, but then I have conversations with Grok AI on Twitter, right? And and we're working on, and I'm working on my memoir right now.
It's been a year that you're working on it.
I know.
No, it's not to rush you, but it's because I heard an interview of last year, and I was like, and you said that you were working on it, and when the guy was like, when is it coming out? You're like, oh, I don't know yet.
Yeah, I'm doing a rewrite on the proposal. It totally changed. It shifted from one how my arc and how I was going to be portrayed in it to a totally new one, right? And so even pulling these stories out, it's really hard because I bury them,
For sure.
Unsavory
the
story,
trauma and everything.
And trauma, those get put up in a box, and I don't pull them down.
I know you don't. Fuck it. You leave it there.
I tried that with EMDR. I was triggered at the shooting at the Bunny Ranch. I got triggered, my PTSD, and so I did EMDR, and we got over that hump. And then she wanted to, get some other things, and my world got dark real fast. I was like, yeah, no, I can't do this. Put that shit back. Just be happy. So yeah, that's what the memoir's taking a while. So yeah, God, I just dropped like $20,000.
And you had such a huge career that spans decades about doing so many different things that for sure that memoir can't take just 6 months and bang bang done. For sure it's normal there and you really want to get a memoir right when you're doing it, so it's normal that you're taking the time. I think that's the best there. Can you name us go ahead.
I think when it comes to that, I have to resign to the fact that it needs to sell. So you're not going to get everything in it that you want in it. It's not going to be your title you want. It's going to be so it sells. So that's what that. But I have
sex sells. And let's not kid ourselves. Name 2 things that people should try at least once in their life.
Four-wheeling. Okay, and if you have the opportunity, jump out of a plane.
I'm surprised you didn't say brothel. So that's awesome. I didn't expect that.
Well, that would be smart to say, huh?
For sure. But in your line of work, what's the most important skill or trait a person should have?
Patience.
Wow, see, a lot of people would think beauty right there. So that's incredible. Because like I saw in an interview that you did, sex is so just a little thing of everything you girls do. You're literally taking care of the guy, a psychologue at the same time. You're doing it all there, and reading the guy as well, because he's not always going to tell you everything he needs, but you need to figure it out there if you want to keep him as a great client there.
Yeah. I tell people, when people ask me what I do, I say I give confidence, I console, and I validate, and I give hope. That's what I do.
And that is beautiful. So being a madam at the Alien Cat House really didn't work out like you wanted. I would have thought that since they put you in an authority, you would have power, but you can't just give authority to somebody and no power, because that's worthless. It's
and it was like, even if I could just, now resign myself to the fact, that's fine. I'll just use this as a gimmick, the madam thing. And it just, maybe I went in like a steamroller and I just put people off. I don't know. But, God's got a plan. It's not always my plan.
Can you share us, walk us through a normal day-to-day for a legal courtesan, and how many clients can she see in a day, really?
This depends on where you're working at.
Okay.
Like where they have a lot of traffic, like say at the Mustang Ranch, I think they still have a lot of traffic because they're right there on the freeway. They're on Highway 80.
Okay, yeah.
Actually, even Alien Cat House is right there with all those tourists. You really only see 3 people a day.
Okay.
30 years ago at the Mustang Ranch, we'd see 20 people a day.
Oh shit.
They had thousands of people coming through that door.
God damn.
Yeah.
Man, that's a lot of showers in a day.
That was a lot, man. Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
We'd sit in sitz baths, because we'd be so.
For sure.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
What are keys to make a client feel comfortable and value and understand like what he needs to be the best courtesan for him, since they don't always tell you everything up front?
I think maybe one of the best traits to have, actually, again, as a courtesan, is intuition. I'm very intuitive, and I can read a person like like a book immediately, and I just do what I think they will need. Hope I don't get the emails mixed up. Okay. I know tying some guy up once. Me and Brooke Taylor, we had this guy, and he wanted to be tied in every which way but loose, So we got like yards and yards and yards. I don't know how many feet up this rope. We just tied him up in all these different ways. Like I had a pulley system going, everything. We got done, and I was like, "Okay, what do you want to do now?" He's like, "I don't know. You guys decided. You've been running the show all out." And I was like, "Well, what did you think? How did you think you wanted to, finish after you were all tied up?" He says, "I didn't want to be tied up." What? Said, no,
he was just going along with the ride the whole time, and at the end, like, so how do you want to finish this?
That's happened a couple times. I had another guy that said that he wanted me to be aggressive, and man, I got like really crazy aggressive. And I had a room that was like this far away from the parlor, and I was going to make him walk down the parlor with the scuba glasses on. And he's like, "No, stop, man. This is the one I wanted. I didn't want any of this." Wow. Oh, shit. Okay.
Are men more complicated or more simple than people think?
Men are simple.
Yeah. Name something men want that people would be surprised about.
Tenderness.
I have an uncomfortable truths section, so it's going to ask you uncomfortable truths of life or your career. What's an uncomfortable truth about human nature that your career has shown you?
Human nature. Man, there's givers and takers. There are really takers out there that will take from the givers.
Absolutely.
Right. They see it on your forehead, man, and they just take.
Oh yeah. Right when they see that person is so good-hearted, is gonna give a lot, they're like, oh, instead of being like, wow, what a great person, they're like, oh, let's take everything that she got.
Yeah, they mistake kindness for dumbness, I guess.
What's something about the brothel community that you feel could be better understood or improved?
I think a 50-50 cut, man. I think that the brothel model was put into place. This legal brothel model was put into place, 60 years ago, 55 years ago, and the guy that did it, Joe Conforti, got exiled from the country. Okay?
Wow.
Maybe it doesn't work in the women's in the independent contractor's favor. Maybe not. So, yeah.
Wow. What's an aspect of brothels work that you feel is misrepresented by movies or media?
That's glamorized, it's Pretty Woman, and you get gifts and.
Me initially there, because I never checked it out online before. I knew it had something to do with being an escort or courtesan there in a brothel, but I at first thought that a brothel was like those Czech glory hole house. That's what I like. That's what I would have thought. And then when I did my research, I saw those are completely two different things there. And you guys, at least there's way more test and everything to protect the individuals. That is quite good there because
there's consensual sex workers and non-consensual sex workers, and the non-consensual sex workers, those get portrayed in movies, and you see the girls being drugged and seeing 20 guys a day and non-consensual.
Yeah.
you want to become consensual. Now, we didn't actually become consensual until about 2000, in the 2000s.
Wow.
So yeah, the first 10 years and probably all the years before that, there was a house minimum, and we had to do it. You know, if you didn't do it, somebody else did, and your money went on their books. There were fines. There were consequences. So you really weren't an independent contractor. You had to do something. You know, so yeah.
Wow.
So that changed for me. That changed at the Bunny Ranch. I was doing a low dollar client, and I was being mean to them because the last place I worked prior to there, the guy didn't care if you're mean to him. You know, I advertise. I don't give a damn if they ever come back. Get everything they got. So and so I got in trouble for being mean to the customers in these small dollar parties, and so they told me, they said, well, don't do these small dollar. You can't do anything under 200 ever again. That's it. And so it worked out better.
Wow. Yeah, since you've seen the industry evolve, how has the role of being a legal courtesan changed over the years, especially with the rise of platforms like OnlyFans and Pornhub that it's like almost free or $5 and you're literally so how has the brothel changed since then?
Well, so we have to I mean, when I was at Alien, I was going to hire girls. I didn't want to hire one that didn't have that couldn't work online. I didn't want the girls to rely only on the walk-ins. I wanted you to be able to, well, actually, girls that could write. Those were the girls I wanted first, was girls that could write, because we're on an online offsite business now. And if you can write, and you don't even have to be able to write nowadays, you can use AI, you can use Grammarly, but be able to pick up these tools to be able to advertise yourself online. Wow, we're not allowed to advertise.
Yeah.
So you see, I don't have any followers anywhere because I Sesta Fosta, anything that results in the sale of sex is not allowed on anywhere on the internet.
Yeah, you're getting censored.
So I'm censored. So, and I get yanked, I get pulled all the time. So I really don't put a great deal of effort into my social media because it's going to get pulled.
Yeah, for sure.
You know?
It's like, why work for something that you guys are just gonna tip off, tip to make it fall? Like I was shocked about this because I had Vic Lagina on. He's a porn producer for Browsers. He was one of the biggest, and on the podcast he talked about sex workers that they have trouble opening bank accounts because of their job, and I was shocked. I was like, in my head, I'm like, isn't this one of the oldest professions in the world? Why do you think these obstacles still fucking exist? And what do you think are the biggest challenges for the rights of these people?
My bank account got yanked too, but it was right after Nevada legalized marijuana. So, and even the lobbyists, because we're in the capital city, as Carson City, we're right there. The marijuana lobbyists would come to the Bunny Ranch a lot, you know, and these little fuckers, I'm sure. They said, you know, they used us. Well, you have legal brothels and they're not federal, you know, but banks won't deal with marijuana either because it's not federally accepted. So right after they legalized marijuana, my bank that I had ran millions through wrote me and said that I needed to clear out my account, and they're closing my account. And the general manager at one of these banks was like my sponsor in AA. I knew her very, very, very well. And so I asked her, well, how could they do that? And they have this canned answer. We can close your account just like you can close your account. Everybody gave me that canned answer. And so, and I just realized, you know what, it's because I'm a sex worker.
Yeah. Wow.
It doesn't matter if you're legal. That's just, I mean, nobody differentiates between legal and prostitute. I had a fight for years on Wikipedia and Google search to put legal in front of prostitute.
Yeah.
And I've even told them to pull my page on Wikipedia because if you look at the talk chat, those people hate me. They just fucking hate me. I'm like, well, pull the page, man. I didn't ask for it. I'm not trying to advertise here. You fuckers are putting half truths up there and barely, you know, make this page and yeah.
Like being a porn star, for example, what you want is being the most popular possible, that everybody knows you. But in the world of courtesan, like you can't be like, oh, I had this person, oh, I had that person. You can't. So you're living in a way like a secret life in a way on your side. But how the hell in that world did you become famous? It's like it's a secret world in a way, but it's like I'm telling myself this girl was so good that the guy was like, bro, you gotta call this girl.
Well, I do have a reputation of being like Michael Jordan of sex. Okay, I monikered that way early in my career, and that was the first thing I learned was word of mouth advertising is the best advertising. So I would always tell people, tell your friends, right? And then I jumped on a vehicle. It's the girls that pick up on the new
trends.
Really.
Oh yeah, so faster, yeah, for sure.
The girls that were on the internet with member sites, they did really well at the ranch because they already had a following.
Okay.
The strippers and porn stars did really well because they already had a following, right? I did really, really well because I knew how to negotiate. B, I gave good parties. C, I picked up on technology as far as websites and message boards go. So I was the first one on some of the message boards and offering contests and things like that. And then I just did all the gimmicky things. I went to AVN and I walked that floor, man. I walked that floor in some crazy outfits and heels and my feet hurt.
Oh, yeah, you better remember me.
pounds of print, just carried. So that's how I kind of got famous in that area. But then one of the biggest vehicles was Cathouse HBO.
Yeah, for sure. That exploded everything.
I really didn't think I was memorable or anyone had any interest in me at all. And that's how my whole career was. I was always told that I was really famous, but never felt it. I felt that Isabella Soprano got the most play out of Cathouse or Sunset Thomas, and I was just like, hell, if I get one customer out of this, then it was worth it.
But you were authentic.
I think that's what it was. I think because,
seeing that unique girl there for sure.
I saw the other girls; they could be like, oh.
Yeah, fake. Being fake.
And I can't do that. I'm not.
Yeah.
I mean, I am what I am.
I saw that you mentioned there was on another podcast that you saw a shift in human sexuality over the years, like maybe like what guys wanted or their finish was. How did that change over the years?
Usually, I think guys, it seems to me, and it's been my experience, that guys will want what's big in porn at the time. So, like when Max Hardcore was out there choking, guys want to smack your ass and choke you, and, get and have hardcore sex with you, and that's not working. And then the GFE became a big big hype word,
Yeah.
So what happens is the girls in the industry will try and sell what they can make the most money at.
Yeah.
So
they're just looking at the trends and go with it because these guys are just already on the boat of that trends, like going.
Yeah. So wow. So some girl would come in, it's GFE, and she kisses, and it was always taboo. You never kissed.
Yeah, because that's like the private thing.
And they kiss. And then somebody comes in and they offer, they're competing, they offer, I text, I do this, so you just have more and more and more that you're trying to compete with. They're just giving up more and more and more. But now the trend is overnight. Everybody wants an overnight.
Man, that must be expensive.
Oh my God. Don't ask for an overnight because it's the most expensive thing we have, except for a couple days.
Yeah, for sure.
It's the most expensive thing you can get in 24 hours, basically. So, and I don't want to shoot you down right away and say, no, I can't do it. Why don't you shoot off of the smaller piece and then let's see if we can turn it into an overnight, And, but now what I'm seeing, which really bothers me is, like when Britney Spears was all big, the schoolgirl was all in, right?
Yeah.
So schoolgirl is one thing, and guys are wired to want young women to procreate. They want, wide hips and small waist and young, so they fertile seed and all this. So guys are programmed and pre-wired to want youth, and that just got thrown out the window somewhere, and now
it's very darker now.
It's a lot darker.
Oh, yeah.
You wonder where those 300,000 children are, and I hate to fucking think about it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I had a guy of an expert of porn addiction on, and he talked about when we were kids, like 25 years ago. What was like popular in cartoons was hentai. So these young people grew. So now they just brought that into the porn, and you can push that line of what is okay with 3D and cartoons way more there, because you could have a monster having sex with a princess. Yeah, that's it. So I think the fact that the creation of the limit now is just so further because of hentai and all this.
Now that you mentioned that, the hentai, do you think is a subversion technique out of China?
Or Japan.
Japan?
Yeah, I think it's Japan. Most of it's coming out of it because they have no really laws about it. It's quite incredible. So right when I saw me online, because I watch porn because I'm a dude, and when I saw that like the hentai was become so popular, I was like, what the hell? Why? Like, why would you want to see a cartoon instead of the real beautiful woman? And like the first site I went, I didn't even need to click a video. I was understanding like, oh shit, okay, you have because a dog. Yeah, that's it. It's a fantasy. They push that line.
Real sex is not attractive.
Yeah, that's it. It becomes not attractive at a certain point.
It's not attractive. Real sex isn't attractive to me. It's just, it feels good, but I mean, who said it looked good? It's just body parts. I mean, it don't fucking look good. Okay. But,
so I have 5 quick ones with like quick answers, and then I have one last question. What is the most common addiction associated with this industry, you think?
Well, now it's weed.
Weed?
Yeah.
At least it's less worse. It's less worse, I think, than cocaine.
I mean, I'm clean and sober 7 years, coming up on May 11th.
Congratulations.
I'm one of the people that I can't take anything that affects me from the neck up. Nothing. Not one Valium, not one weed, not one anything that will change my,
who you are.
My brain. Anything that gets behind anyway. So, and most addicts are like that. So when people are like out there saying, "Well, I quit doing meth and I'm reborn and this is my platform," but really they're still drinking, they're still doing weed, and they're telling. So all these people that are like me, everyone that's an addict that really can't take anything from the neck up, is still on that path of destruction because you just really can't take anything. So now, and I think the weed thing it's just something that our government is giving you another way to just destroy yourself and become dependent on the government.
Absolutely.
And weed is no different than drinking. Come on.
Mm-hmm. I saw in another interview that you said that a lot, like at least 80% of girls that you think that are coming into the sex industry will have a child trauma from abuse or something like that. Why do you think that's the outlet they find instead of like something completely not that there?
Well, I think sex was devalued for them. Sex was devalued. It was
no worth.
It wasn't precious anymore. It wasn't something you saved yourself for marriage. Wow. It wasn't sacred. It was just, and for someone to take that from you, you just kind of, I don't know how it gets wired into the brain that you just, I don't know. Good question.
Yeah. I had a girl on that was addicted to meth when she was a kid and became a judge after like a huge career. And she was abused as a child. And when she was abused later in life, she was and also like since she was an addict to drugs, her exchanging sex for drugs was just okay or whatever, like whatever, like this is not worth anything for me anymore. And that's exactly like what you said, because after somebody just takes that innocence out of you, well, you're like, well, whatever, one more.
And
It's
there's
like,
generally no one there to save you and, punish the bad guy and nurture the good, the innocent. You're throwing out, you throw the baby out with the bathwater, and you're just damaged goods. Nobody and nobody ever nurtured you and fixed that for you.
mhm. Is there somebody that ever asked, so when you were working at the Alien Cat House, is there anybody that asked an alien theme, something fantasy?
No,
No,
but I had such
I think
big
that would have
plans
been me. I
for
was
it,
like,
man.
I want to get abducted.
I had such big plans for it. I wanted to make an alien abduction room, celestial. It was just going to be so fun, man. So that girl that ran her mouth, that Harley, she fucked shut up for me. I'm going to sue the fuck out of her for defamation because it really destroyed some business plans. And now I got someone that wants to kill me because the other girl left there. So yeah, she needs to get taught a lesson, man. You just can't run your mouth about people. You just can't, because you really can do some real damage. And she
Yeah.
did some damage to my career. And yeah, I'm coming for you.
What's one
Coming
of
for you.
what's one of the most strangest things a guy ever asked for?
Well, always for me, strange. Okay. A guy, he wanted me to pee on him, right? Okay, that's cool. But then he wanted to take some to go. So I put some in a to-go cup for him. And what he did is he put it on his hands and rubbed it all over his hair.
Oh
Like,
my goodness.
oh, kidoki. Yeah.
Oh my god. I imagine like you sitting at home that night, and you're like, I got paid to just pee on somebody. Isn't
You
that
know?
fucked up?
And it was this guy that he was a disabled veteran, and he lived in like a disabled veterans quarters or something up in Reno, and he was telling me about how they would stick a needle in his penis, and he'd go the whole time he was with me. He said, "I wish I had a horse cock. Wish I had a horse cock." And I had to do some checking. I want and just some checking and find out if he was being abused or not.
Wow.
Yeah,
That is
yeah.
that is something else, my friends. Oh, shit.
Yeah,
Oh
I
my
gotta
god.
write that one down. Now that I'm doing Tales from the Crib, I gotta write that one down and remember that.
Yeah, absolutely. Write that one down.
Wish I had
you,
a horse cock.
you've been in a world that many consider taboo and stigmatized. What advice would you give for somebody who feels judged about their career or their relationship choices? And why I put that question that way, it's because a lot of girls that like allow their men to sleep with other girls there, well, are getting crucified by other girls because they did that choice. And so that's why I put that question like that, like for unique
Yeah,
careers and unique relationships, like what advice would you give
yeah. I'm
these
super.
girls?
I've lived with stigma my whole life, man. It's a motherfucker. You could just be like, just living your life, doing good, did the best things for people, and then someone just comes up and backhands you with, I'll get back to this in a minute, but okay, so people would walk up to me and go, "You're famous," and you don't walk up to someone famous and say, "You're famous." So what you're saying to me every fucking time that you say you're famous is you're famous and you're a fucking prostitute and you're famous. So I was getting slurred on. That hurt me. That dug, that cut. Every time someone goes, "You're famous," it's like, yeah, that's a cut. So you have to the stigma, you just go, "I'm no better than and I'm no worse than anybody else on the planet." And you just got to drill that into your head. I'm no better than, I'm no worse than anyone else on the planet. Never compare yourself to others because you're always going to come up short.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, and that was a hard one in a
Oh yeah,
comparing
that's a hard
person.
truth to
And
accept
I'm
in
really,
life, but that is true.
yeah,
Wow.
my core is I work off of competition and fear, and that will drive me to do anything. And that and helping others. That's a good a driver for me too. But yeah, comparing yourself, and then when it comes to stigma, there's a thing we do in AA called the sick man's prayer.
Okay.
and you can look it up.
Okay, I will.
You know, and you and it's just, you know, if somebody personally hurts you, offends you, and you have a resentment you can't get over, you have to pray for that person for 2 weeks straight every day that they get whatever they want.
Wow.
You know, and by the time a week is up, you forgot all about it.
Wow. I love it. I love it.
You know?
So instead of like cursing the guy, you're just sending all the love and positivity. I like your way of thinking. Where can everybody find you? You're probably not on all the platforms, so where can people find you if they want to check your stuff out and everything?
airforceamy.com. I'd love to announce where I'm going to work, but it seems like such a demotion because we decided I'm getting hired as a madam, but we decided that we wouldn't put that madam title on there.
Okay.
So that I wouldn't get the hassle like I get the hassle from the other girls.
True that.
So whenever I come up on this website, it's going to look like a huge demotion that I'm not a madam. Oh, she just went back to work. So I'm passing that around, man. I don't know if I want to, you know, but then you got to look at, well, that's just ego. It's ego, you know, who gives a shit? It's just your ego.
And I think it's better you pass under the radar with these girls so they don't go all after you. You know, haters gonna hate.
Yeah. But I've already found at this new place that they don't want a lot of change either. So what I have found out is that employers want yes men. Yeah. And that was what was different about Dennis. You can complain to him about something, but you have a solution. Okay, don't just complain. Bring me a solution. And you bring him solutions, and God damn, he implemented them.
Wow.
You know, so other people that, I don't know, they just don't know how to manage or don't want to take the time. Yeah. And it's just, everything's the way it is. And you know, it works. Don't upset the apple cart. So I just don't want to work for anybody else again for my life.
For sure.
You know, I got to make the memoir or the drama. And I'm turning my site into a member site. And there's going to be airforceamy.club. And it's going to be cool because, I have, as I was shooting, I'm doing a docuseries. I got some kids out of LA, UCLA Film School, and we started filming my docuseries. And as I started going through my memorabilia and everything, I'm like, man, I'd love to put this up on a site. And I wanted to do it with OnlyFans and call it, you know, it's OnlyFans. And my fans could see me with, you know, all these, but OnlyFans wouldn't let me put up a picture of me and Howard Stern or me and Jenny Jones, because they would have to have an OnlyFans site.
Yeah, exactly.
So I couldn't put anybody, so that was useless. So I have to I'm going to turn my site into a member site, and like $20 a month, and start just releasing all this memorabilia, you know, and then when
absolutely
come out, sell the books.
So that's awesome. So thanks again for coming on. It was so amazing. A lot of people don't even know this world. So having a famous person like you hate hearing on and like understanding like the bowels of this brothel there, it's really amazing. So thanks again for coming on.
Well, here, be nice to your local brothel worker, okay?
We don't have brothels in Canada.
Goes to these brothels because their life is rosy. There's something that got them to that door, okay? They need a quick fix of something. Something's gone wrong, and they need to fix it. And if this looks like their best route, then you know what? Have some compassion for those guys.
Absolutely. Because we never know what somebody else is going through. So thanks everybody, and have a great weekend.
Thank you. Bye.